Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, I'm going to lead today's Bulldog Reports. I have a young friend, he's like an intern, who got a hold of an email that went out to all the local news stations from Mike Samet. We'll be putting this up there, Public Information Officer of Hamilton County Public Health. Vaccination idea. Good morning to all of our partners in the news. I have a bit of a crazy idea I wanted to share. Given that we are seeing a slowing in demand for vaccine, I'm wondering if we might add a bit of friendly competition to the mix. What would you think if we came up with several vaccination sites around the county, assigned one to each of the live news stations as its own vaccination site to promote, turns you loose to fill appointments, and at the end of the period, whoever is able to turn out the greatest number of arms would get bragging rights for the region. Of course, we'll do all the logistical and vaccine work. Thoughts? Mike Samet, Public Information Officer. Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, your Hamilton County Public Health Officer wants to get the news, all the local news, into a contest for vaccinations. And by the way, this is another example. You don't think that the news is in cahoots with government? You don't think the news is in cahoots with the liberal gang? Part of the American Communist 10, aren't they? The news media. All right, Andrew Brown Jr., this is the guy that was shot and killed. Apparently a phone was mistaken for a gun. Down in North Carolina, it's caused all the controversy. Did you hear about this guy? Here's another winner. Here's another winner. Big-time known drug dealer. Had been under surveillance, arrest warrants, on and on and on and on. So the police know who this guy is. He's running away. They think he's got a gun. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know all the facts relative to the shooting. But are we going to make another saint out of this guy? I mean, it's unbelievable. Simon & Schuster, part of the American Communist 10, they're in the media. A lot of their employees apparently have demanded that they do not publish any former Trump officials' books. Well, the guy stood up to him. He said they're going to publish the Pence book. But just think about that. Publishers, First Amendment right. Think about that. This is somebody who's in the publishing business. Should be the defender of First Amendment. All of the Nazis that worked for them, claiming to be the most enlightened, elitist, smartest people in the world, don't want any former Trump official books published. Can't make it up. Voter ID poll. There is a poll out that 72% of Americans say, you know what, we want voter ID. I still crack up about the 28% don't think you should have any voter ID. Poll, police funding. By far and away, up to over 70% of Americans do not want to defund the police. Another poll winning. The polls are winning right now. Congressional seats. Big news, the census came out. We are at 331 million Americans, apparently. Slowest growth since 1930. And on top of that, for the first time in its history, California is losing a congressional seat and Texas is gaining one. I think they do this based upon, the population of 400 and some odd thousand people. So Texas is gaining a congressional seat. California is losing one. Ohio is going to lose one. I just hope that all the people that are moving south out of these liberal states are the conservative members of those states. Summer food program. Good old Biden is going to dole out like the largest summer food program in our country's history. Now, I just want to say this. I'm all for feeding kids. I really am. It's like one of those welfare programs. But you know what it struck me? This is what the American communists tend to do. It's like doling out the money, just constantly doling out the money. I mean, you just, you know, and it's a way of buying voters. It's the dole now. It's like, what are you going to do for me? Well, who does that? A socialist communist country. They want everybody to be in this big, everybody's the same, everybody gets the same. It's sick. I cannot believe that the whole American Communist 10 are in on it. But that's where we are. They're all in on it. Nobody checks him. There's nobody to check him. John Kerry, I can tell you right now, this is one of the most serious allegations ever against an American politician. John Kerry, per a minister of Iran, told Iran what Israel was doing relative to going after their nuclear power plants. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. John Kerry did a denial. Do you believe him? By the way, just because a politician stands in front of a camera and denies it doesn't make it so. Well, what are the odds? John Kerry's been in love with Iran forever. You don't think that I believe the story. I believe the story. We're talking, John Kerry, rich and powerful, ought to go to prison. We can only hope. Biden, he has not been involved in any of the phone calls with the governors about COVID. Remember how Trump used to be in that? Can you imagine what the American Communist 10 would do if Trump wasn't participating with the governors of what was going on? I mean, we have never had a checked out president like this president in our history in a time when we need an energetic, vibrant president, which we got for 4 years under Trump. It is a shame. Gosh, just think what it'd be like right now if we had Trump. The difference. We wouldn't have this border crisis, would we? Nope. We wouldn't have all the saber rattling going around the world, would we? Nope. Oscar ratings, they're in, down 58% for the first time ever, down under 10 million viewers. Part of the American Communist 10, they don't care. They're going to keep doing what they're doing, and their ratings will keep going down, but they'll be all happy with the American Communist 10. The border. A Texas rancher gave an interview, and then I heard two congressmen, two Republican congressmen and congresswomen talk about it. They say the border in Texas, it's just like freaking full-born chaos. And it's the drug cartels. Think about that. Trafficking kids, trafficking drugs, violence, and everything else. Joe Biden and the Democratic Party are aligned with drug cartels. You voted for him. You voted for him. And what a con job. Trump did everything he promised. He did. He fought everything he promised. Joe Biden claimed he was going to unite the country, be the president for everyone. See, he's a professional lying son of a bitch. Joe Biden is a professional lying son of a bitch. And that's what he did. Mr. Moderate. Yeah. He's just our front guy. That was their con. Joe Biden will beat Trump, and then we'll control him. Louisville DOJ, they announced, the Department of Justice, that they're going to do a look at the Louisville Police Department. Now, just think about this. They've done Baltimore. They're going at Minneapolis. They're going after Louisville. What's the common denominator of all these cities that the DOJ is opening up these investigations? They're Democratic-controlled cities. Mayor, council, I mean, they're all ran by Democrats. What Republican-controlled city is under investigation for bad policing? Makes no sense. An Oregon track guy apparently passed out. I think he might have even died. Wearing masks outside. Track coach has gone ballistic, said this has got to stop. Why in the hell would any state in this country ever require masks outside, particularly when you're running track? What's my line? You can't make it up. USA Today, this ought to scare the hell out of you, part of the American Communist 10. USA Today says they're a little concerned about anonymous jurors. Wow. Part of our jury system was it's sacrosanct. Jury decides. Jurors don't have to come out, be public if they don't want to be, to protect themselves. USA Today's wanting an idea. Wow. Welcome to communism. $50 for a job interview. A Florida McDonald's is paying $50 for people just to come in for an interview. People aren't taking them up on that. I heard on the news today how you just cannot find workers. You just can't find workers. It's impossible to find workers. The devastating effect that has. And you know what this one person said? I loved it. They go, I never thought that my competition would be the government. See, they keep paying these unemployment benefits. Nobody's incentivized to go back to work in these unskilled positions. I don't know how a Democratic congressperson gets reelected in 2022. Arizona election audit. This has been going on out in Arizona. And the auditor doesn't want the public in on the hearings. Sounds another communist thing to me, doesn't it? It's one thing. I posted this yesterday, that Bulldog Reports and the Bulldog Show is focused on overwhelming you with how ridiculous everything is from the American Communist 10. Hide the homeless. The Oscars, only in LA, the big, oh, we know how to do everything better. We're smarter than everybody else. Climate change, everything else. They moved the homeless folks out, so when they did their big pre-Oscar video, the homeless folks wouldn't be in it. And then what do they have? A $205,000 bags. What a disconnect from these puke faces. Jack wagons. Are you kidding me? $205,000 swag bag? Why they moved the homeless. And last but not least, there's now a push to cancel Isaac Newton. The great English scientist who came up with the laws of gravity and countless other things, founded the Royal Society. He apparently was just benefited from white colonialism, so we need to cancel Isaac Newton too. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. Let's cancel the American Communist 10.